Today I'm presenting my independent studies project that is called Aspects of Being Latina. I began having an idea of what I wanted to do in doing this independent study project when I reflected really on my experience at St. Catherine's, just where I live, who I'm surrounded by. It's really taught me a lot of things because, as you may know, there aren't that many Latinas at St. Catherine's. So every single person that I do meet in my community makes such a huge impact. And being able to explore something that I am not surrounded with 24/7 is really healthy, and it's just really empowering as somebody who knows that they're different in the community that they live in and go to school in. When I started this project, I had the idea of Latinas. I didn't know exactly what I was going to do. I just knew that I wanted it to have that theme. When I actually went ahead and started planning, I realized that I've had so many experiences that were so different and so distinct with just different women that are Latina. I mean, and it made me realize that everyone is just so different, but they're all connected by their confidence, their beauty. I mean, there's different features. I think it's just so diverse in the world of Latinas that I knew I had to capture it in my perspective. Something that really helped fuel this project was my lack of confidence in my own being, my own qualities of being Latina that I have, because I realized that when I looked around, when I would see other Latinas, I saw them as beautiful. I saw the beauty in them, but I didn't see it in myself. And that's when I realized they probably do the same thing. And I didn't really like that. So I decided I should explore perspectives and connect it to my theme of being Latina. So this project, it is a journey, I'm still on it. I think that there are still things I need to learn, at least about myself, but being able to portray these inspiring, empowering women the way that I see them has really also transformed the way I see me. This is my abuelita. She lives in Colombia with the rest of my dad's side of the family since my dad actually came when he was, I guess, it was like 20 years ago, maybe a little bit more. Um, so all of his family is still in Colombia, but every time I go there, every time I spend my time with my abuelita, she is always worried about other people. She's always so caring, but does not really give time for herself. And I knew that because of those strong core values that all Latina women have about the power of family, the importance of taking care of your family, and always being selfless, I knew that after all that she's done, she needed something for herself, but she also needed to see that we see her just exactly for who she is. I mean, she's selfless. She's has this beauty, and it comes from the love that she has for her family and the things that she does. She just brightens up a room whenever you're with her. I mean, she's smiling, she's happy, but she's also always concerned, hoping that you're okay. So I knew I had to portray her in the vibrant colors that she was wearing, but also give her a vibrant background just to emphasize her and how special she is, especially to my father, who I dedicated this painting to. This is the part of my project that I really struggled with as I was doing paintings. My first oil painting was actually this self portrait, and I used an image of me that I actually did like. And the thing I realized when I did this was that when I painted it, I really did not like it. And I realized that my perspective of myself was distorted. It was not completely where it needs to be. There was not the confidence there that I saw in other Latinas. And I knew that I had to keep it the way that it was just so that I could reflect on it and just demonstrate that yes, there are perspectives that are wonderful, but almost everyone has a distorted self perspective. I was very proud of the bottom half of this painting, but as we go up, it just got more personal and I felt very disconnected. And it taught me a lot about how people see themselves versus how others may see them. This is Virginia. Painting Virginia was one of the most exciting paintings that I have done, and it's because of the story behind it. I met Virginia at the Girls Innovate event that was taking place at St. Catherine's School, and let me tell you, I have never met somebody that I connected with so well that I didn't seek out or even expect to meet at all. I mean, we just by chance ended up walking around the green together, navigating through campus as she could find her car. And because of that, I was able to have an experience that gave me confidence and gave me this feeling that obviously was not shown in the previous image. Virginia was the woman who sketched the entire Girls Innovate event. And because of this, I was just so intrigued. And meeting her at the Enye lunch that took place after Girls Innovate was a coincidence because she actually needed help finding where to go next. And we talked for so long, I was actually late to my next class, and it didn't matter. My teacher was okay with it because this connection that I made, it just has stuck with me to this day, and I knew that I had to paint her, and I knew that I had to portray that confidence that I saw in her and that ability to give advice to me without even a blink of an eye. I knew that she had the self-worth that every woman should have, especially every Latina. So meeting Virginia was one of the most powerful experiences, and this painting was one of the most powerful experiences just because I felt so determined to bring her to life a on a canvas. As many of you know, this is Frida Kahlo. Now, my Frida painting is also one of my favorites. This is not a painting that Frida painted. This is a real life image, a real life photo that was taken of Frida when she was alive. I was never going to do one of her pieces, but knowing the kind of person that she was, the way that she portrayed herself, it was negative and it was distorted. And I saw myself in her in that way, as an artist and just as a woman and as a Latina. So being able to portray the beauty that I see in Frida and being able to emphasize that she is just such a powerful and bold individual, especially for her time, going through so much tragedy when she was young and still being able to come out and inspire people to this day. I knew that she was somebody that needed to be brought to life in a different fashion than how she would have done it. So Frida is almost like a mirror image of what I'm going through, and it's a discovery of the beauty of different features of being Latina. As you know, she gave herself a unibrow a lot, like kind of made herself look unappealing to the eye on purpose, but I made it more realistic. I made her Frida. And I'm very proud of this piece. I think that it did turn out the way that I envisioned it in my mind. This is one of my stronger pieces in the project. Lastly, I decided to do something different and do a drawing instead of all oil. And oil is a long process. So, because I initially was just someone who drew pictures instead of painting, I wanted to bring back some of that just to incorporate it into my project and add variety. Some of you may know Mrs. Cesaro. She does have a daughter that goes to St. Catherine's too, but I actually never met her until I was speaking with my art teacher, Mr. Sanchez, and he suggested I reach out to her, and I did, and I am so glad that I did. Just as I thought. She was so kind to me, so willing, and just so confident. She sent me this photo, and I could already tell that this was going to be a great experience. She was so happy, just so you can see that she's just so confident. So it's just pure to me, and I really loved the emotion on her face and in the photo, and I knew that I had to be as realistic as I could, and I did it. And just because there's no color in this does not mean that there isn't the same as exact energy that's in the other pieces. I think that you can see it the way that I portrayed it. I made it visible that she has that happiness, that confidence, that ability to love who she is. And she sent me this without even questioning what I was doing, who would see it, and I just love that. And I think that all of these things I have just discussed are very Latina. This ability to just be bold, to put yourself out there and to not be ashamed. I love it. It is exactly what I needed to finish off my project. And I actually wanted to talk a little bit about my process and how I got here, how I got to creating these. So, when I was creating all of these paintings and drawings, I had to initially figure out how to paint. I actually didn't know how to paint when I first started this project. The idea was there, but the ability was not. So, what I did was I actually did a seminar in Savannah, Georgia at SCAD, the Savannah College of Art and Design, and it was such a different experience for me. It was just something that pushed me out of my comfort zone, that made me focus solely on art. But I didn't even have to just sit in a room and do art. I actually made connections with other people who surprisingly were like me. Doing this project, having the Dream Grant that offered me the opportunity to go to Georgia and be able to learn how to paint, it showed me that everyone is on their own level, on their own journey. Everyone is learning in different ways, and everyone paints and does art in different ways. I was surrounded by people who could paint an image in like 5 minutes and it looked just like the image that they were using as reference. And then there were others like me who were they just wanted to be very specific, very realistic. They wanted to get every detail, and that's exactly what I do, and I take a little bit longer. But that experience of being there, waking up early, going and doing art for at least half of a day, it was something that I really needed to fuel my energy for this project. I learned how to do oil paint that same year, and I went into senior year with this confidence and this drive to just paint, which is something I never thought I would do. I was always someone who drew. But I went in there and I did it and I discovered my ability. And I feel like it just is a metaphor for my entire life, for my confidence as a Latina, just loving myself. If you think that you are different and you don't see that as something that makes you interesting and fascinating to others, that is where you've gone wrong. And I thought just because I drew that I couldn't paint, but why not do both? As somebody who's actually half Latina and just half white, I have been able to love both parts of me and love all of me and think you can't just be one, you have to be both. And if you think you can't be both, you're wrong. So if you think you can't do both drawing and painting, you're wrong. And that applies to anything in life. It really taught me some lessons along the way. Me getting past my fear of messing up, being a bad painter, not being able to finish or accurately depict what I was using as a reference. Um, Getting past those fears is what made these vibrant and different paintings and just diverse perspectives of these women. And I am so glad that I was able to have the resources to do this project through St. Catherine's and just through my art teacher, Mr. Sanchez, and Mrs. Lewis, who has been so helpful to me along the way. And I just really think that with these resources that were offered, there's just so much you can do. And having an independent study, it really does open your mind. And this, I can really say, has changed me and has made me grow just as a person. And it's also made me love myself. So I think that overall, this was so worth it. I wish I could have done more paintings, but oil is something that takes longer. But overall, I am very proud of myself, and that is something I don't know if I could have said a few months ago, even a year ago. So, yeah, this is my project.